Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. Tonight we're doing our series look back at rock greats who thrilled us but have since passed on. This is episode number 59 in the year 2021, so the second last episode to be done. This one will come out tonight. I'm sorry that it's coming out late, but there was issues early in the evening and I couldn't do any kind of preparatory work. So now I'm able to prep it and we'll launch it tonight. The other one will come out tomorrow morning as it's supposed to come out. Yep. So anyways, on to the task at hand. So we have two people we're doing tonight, as we always do, for those of you who follow. They will be Charlie Watts and Don Everly. Don Everly will go first since he passed first, and then Charlie Watts will go next. And then I will do the honorable mentions, for which we have about 20 or so. So anyways, first one is Don Everly of the Everly Brothers. Born February the 1st, 1937. His brother was born in 1939, both in Knoxville, Tennessee. He died August the 21st, 2021 at the age of 84. His brother actually died January 3rd of 2014. I believe he was... Christ, I can't remember now. I'd have to do the math, but... He was he was the younger brother, and he died earlier. Had a lung capacity problem from smoking. Anyways, Don was a country rock and roll, and rockabilly and country music star. Some of you will say, "Oh, I thought you didn't like country music." Well, actually, I don't really like country music, but for some reason, I like rockabilly quite a bit. And these two guys started it out for me. This is where rockabilly started for me, was with the Everly Brothers. He was a vocalist and a guitarist, as was Phil. I'm kind of going to be doing a little bit of both because, to me, they go together. He was active from 1951 to 73, and then from 1983 to 2005 as a duo with Phil. And then on his own, he was active from 1951 to 2018. Okay, so Don Everly was the older brother of the two. The reason I think I like the Everly Brothers so much is that I liked them when I was young, and then when I was a teenager, I liked them. Then me and a friend of mine got together for a conference we went to, and I was Phil and he was Don, and we did a couple of songs up on the stage, which will always be a big memory for me, and so I really enjoyed doing that quite a bit. So anyways, Don and Phil were biggest in the early 60s, late 50s when they came upon. They were kind of discovered by, I guess you might say, if it was nowadays, they would probably say they were discovered by Chet Atkins, whether they were or not. I mean, lots of people seen them, but Chet Atkins promoted them quite a bit. He liked them quite a bit. So anyways, they were a bit of a rockabilly kind of group, but they started out as being just basically country kind of country music, and then got more into the rock, and then became more of a rockabilly type thing. Don was, of course, noted for the guitar riff at the beginning, or if you like, the guitar startup for the song "Wake Up Little Susie." So he was kind of noted for that. The Everly Brothers, of course, are both in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as they should be, greatly influencing lots of people with their kind of harmonic vocals. One of the greatest duos in the history of rock music, I believe. And currently, this is one of the things that me and the Rolling Stone agree on, because they have them labeled as the number one rock duo of all time. So they had lots of hits, many hits. Kathy's Clown, which is a big hit of theirs, is also considered their biggest hit, I think, of all time. It's the one that sold the most anyway, so whether it's actually, it's not really my favorite, but I like it quite a bit. Bye Bye Love, All You Need to Do Is Dream, Walk Right Back, Wake Up Little Susie. The list is endless. I can't imagine there's anybody who listens to rock music hasn't heard at least one of those songs at some point or another. So Don was the older brother, and he was kind of, I guess in some ways he was kind of the leader, but they were close, but then they also had lots of conflict between them because they had very different political views on life, and that actually was the reason why they split and why they were a bit of estranged to each other for a while before they reunited and did about 7 or 8 years of playing together, and then once again estranged. And before they went through about 6 or 7 years where they weren't speaking, and then Phil died, and Don has struggled with that for the last years of his life, thinking that, he missed his brother. He said he thought of him every day. He had some of his ashes, and he would talk to it every morning. And I know it's a little bit odd, but when you've been brothers with somebody for 75 or 80 years, it's probably stands to reason that this kind of stuff's going to happen. People get estranged, though. It happens all the time. And it's unfortunate because I think the Everly Brothers, to me, are one of the greatest bands that's ever been. I love their music quite a bit. I'm not a huge fan of that style of music, so there are other people that do it and have done it, but for some reason they're the only ones that I really like a lot. To me, it's kind of sad that they're both gone already, but it's been they've been active since 1952 or so. So it only stands to reason, like that's almost 70 years ago. Well, it actually is 70 years ago, so sad, but some great stuff came from the Everly Brothers, no doubt about that. I do have a disc recently purchased. I don't know exactly where I put it because I'm not sure if I put it on my listen to in alphabetical order back here or if it's still on my unlistened to, but I'm pretty sure I listened to it, the entire disc once. Pretty good. It's a live concert from the 1980s. Pretty good stuff. So anyways, that's it for Don Everly. And I guess for Phil as well, because we kind of did them both here, and you can't really separate the Everlys. That's probably why I don't think I did Phil them when he died. I might have, I can't remember. I don't think I did though. Okay, on to the number 2 guy, who's hardly a number 2 guy in any book, like Charlie Watts. Played with the Rolling Stones for 58 years. And there's this kind of stupid thing that groups do where he wasn't the original drummer. Well, maybe he wasn't the original drummer, but he was the original drummer on their first album. That stuff they did before was just getting ready to be a rock band. So far as I'm concerned, he's the original drummer. So he was with them for 58 years, and along with Mick and Keith are the only ones who played on all the albums. He was born June the 2nd, 1941 in London. He died August 24th, 2021 at the age of 80 in London, England. So he didn't move around much. Music, of course, was rock, jazz, and blues, and he was primarily known as a jazz drummer before he joined the Stones and brought that influence to the Stones. And of course he was, as you know, the drummer, and active from 1958 to 2021. So a fairly lengthy run as a drummer. And it's funny, I had a misconception at some point. I thought he had retired in the early 2003 or 2005 or somewhere in that time. I thought he had retired, but I was mistaken. So maybe it was just Bill Wyman who retired in the early 90s. So as I was growing up, I knew of the Stones, but I really didn't listen to them. I was a Kiss fan, and then later, after I started moving into other music, I became a Stones fan in the 80s, and that kind of persisted for about 4 or 5 years, and then since that time, I listen to them. I like some of their stuff. I will play their stuff now and then. I really like that Some Girls album quite a bit, but I like a lot of their 60s stuff as well, and I will listen to it, but they're not really a top 20 or 30 band of mine anymore. So a lot of bands have moved ahead of them, but they still have that sound. And I've seen a concert of them recently. I don't know where it was. It might have been on YouTube. I'm not sure. And it was like 2019 or 18. I'm thinking to myself, wow, they can still get like Mick Jagger can still move around up there, man. For an 80-year-old man, that's pretty impressive, you know. And they're still pretty decent in concert. I'm surprised, you know. I know we went through that joking period 20 or 25 years ago. We called them the Strolling Bones. Kind of not a great thing to say, but. Anyways, the first time I'd seen them in a long time was when they did that SARS event, because I was there. I was not there, but I watched it because I wanted to see Rush and AC/DC, and then I saw them. I thought, yeah, these guys are still rocking pretty good. And then recently I saw them too, so they were pretty good. Now Charlie Watts, of course, has been their drummer the entire length of time they've been there. I kind of think of him as the stable guy in the band. He's not fighting with people. He's not front-laid headlines for doing drugs. He's not, being suspected of this or that or anything. He's just Charlie Watts, right? And I don't think he's the greatest drummer in the world, but I think his sound fit the Stones very perfectly. Like, he was the perfect drummer for that band. And, you know, he's a pretty solid drummer. I've always enjoyed his beats and stuff like that. I think he's pretty sound at keeping that, too, and making little intricate noises that the Stones I'm used to hearing from the Stones. So I salute Charlie Watts today, because I think, you know, it takes a lot to play with a band for 60 years, especially one as volatile as the Stones were. So he gets my kudos for that. So there you have it, my first episode, my 59th episode of the series. This is 2021, Charlie Watts and Don Everly. Also, honorable mentions go to quite a few people, actually, and I could have went with one or two of these other people instead of, I thought about maybe not doing Charlie Watts, but I just can't see how you cannot. Like, of the bands that some of these guys played for that I like the Stones more, and I just had more history with them, so it just made sense. So Jerry Marsden of Jerry and the Pacemakers, Sylvain of the New York Dolls, Phil Spector, who was a record producer, Alan Cartwright, Procol Harum, Les McEwen, I think that's how you pronounce it, from the Bay City Rollers. I'm not really sure why I chose to put him in there, but to me, he's the face of the Bay City Rollers. Every time I think of the Bay City Rollers, his face pops into my head. Joe Long, Four Seasons, of course. John Hinch of Judas Priest. He was the drummer before they became really big. Tawny Kitaen. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just remember all those videos with her in it from the Whitesnake days, right? The Whitesnake videos, I mean. John Solinger of Skid Row. Johnny Lawton of Uriah Heep. Robbie Steinhardt, of Kansas. I almost went with Robbie, but I just felt like I had more history with Charlie than I did with Robbie, so I didn't go with him. And Dusty Hill of ZZ Top, of course. Mike Howe of Metal Church, of course. Ron Bushy of Iron Butterfly. Ron Wilson of the Gap Band. Graham Edge of Moody Blues. John Goodall of Brand X and Atomic Rooster, John Miles of Alan Parsons Project, and Michael Nesbitt of the Monkees. And I was going to do Michael, but because I did Peter Tork, I decided that I wouldn't do two monkeys so close together. So I went with Peter Tork instead. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This episode will come out immediately after finish the recording, and then the other one will come out tomorrow morning, and that'll be it. It's hard to believe this thing has been going on for like 4 months. I think at least 4 months, and we're down to the final episode after this one. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe, and watch the episode and be ready for the last one tomorrow. Anyways, have a good evening. Bye.